What's up everybody, my name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing. And if you saw the title and thumbnail, today we are unboxing a very exciting die-cast 1/6 scale Mark 7 Iron Man from the Avengers, I believe the Avengers 1. This is MM387-017. So what does that mean? Was this figure 17 that they did, and then this is like a 2.0, so it's figure 378? I'm really not sure, comment below. But it says Iron Man Mark 7, or Mark 6 technically, V1, right? 6. So Mark 6. And then this is a movie masterpiece series die-cast Hot Toys movie masterpiece down in the corner. Legal information around the back, not too much on the side. His like gauntlet goes over onto the side of the box. You see a little bit of Iron Man logo there in gold. Not too much, not too much. Same kind of thing on the other side, little Iron Man logo. His other arm comes off to the side of the box. And this is one of those weird boxes where it slides off the top like this, and then you kind of pick out this little foam container. You got your instructions down here. You'll need those later. I've never really liked these foam containers, but it does say Mark 6 on the front of it there. And then you pop this open. Oh, it looks so good. It comes with a battle damaged chest. It comes with a RDJ in the mask head sculpt, you know, so you can have it with like the mask off, or you could toss this helmet figure sculpt on, I think, and then also toss on this right here, you know, kind of like a mask that can go on while he's in it, maybe? Yeah, that seems to fit. I don't want to crush his nose behind there, so maybe this is only meant to be repped with like no face behind there. Does this mask come off? It does. So yeah, so you are able to rep the mask with his face behind there or without, because there is a light up feature on the head that comes with it. So maybe, you know, this is just more so for the people that want to Tony head sculpt, and just to know that there's an actual RDJ underneath there. But it comes with multiple different hands. A couple of them look like they're, you know, ready to be fired. A couple of them are just normal fist hands. A couple of them are like splayed out, ready to shoot hands. Not bad. But let's take out the figure himself and take a little look at him, shall we? Oh, the die cast is so heavy and it feels so right compared to some of these other newer figures. The helmet does open up, pop off the top as well to get the batteries in there. I doubt my batteries still work. Well, might as well try. This is a used figure, or maybe not used, but definitely a aftermarket figure. I didn't buy this brand new. This is bought from my comic book shop locally. Yep, no batteries, so maybe I need to replace the batteries, or maybe they're just dead in there, or maybe they're not in there at all. So we'll have to try that out myself. I think I have maybe a couple extra batteries, so I might want to try out at least the mask and the chest. I don't necessarily always try out the arms and the feet ones. This one doesn't even seem to have feet ones, so maybe there's just arms and legs, and maybe the back, and there seems to be flaps that open. I'm gonna have to read the instruction manual so I don't break anything and know what moves and what doesn't move. But yeah, there definitely seems to be some flaps that can open up and, you know, have him like he's throwing on the air brakes or something. Very cool. And we'll take a look at the display base in a second, but this is only like my second, I believe, or maybe my third if you include the zombie Iron Man. I do like that the Iron Mans come with like fully opposable hands, so you could get them into whatever pose you want, you know, like you could have them flipping the bird, you could have them, you know, with like a relaxed hand just a little bit, you could have them kind of, you know, shooting a gun with the fingers, you know, like you can do whatever you want. Head articulation is pretty good. You can get that head way back like he's in a flying pose, way down forward like he's judging you and looking forward, or maybe sad. Yeah, dude, these Iron Man figures are so cool because they feel like a iron suits, you know, like they feel like a genuine Iron Man, you know, like he stands up pretty damn easily on his own. Like that's pretty insane stuff. But let's see if we can't take a look at the base down below, because I think this thing comes with a big old base. And it seems like all of the batteries that he did come with are in there with him already. So maybe I'm gonna have to find some more batteries and see if I can't replace them. And I don't know how they die so easily, because if this guy had it off and the batteries are in there, how are they dead? It was off, you know what I mean? Like, and then if you leave them on, what kind of person are you there? You're leaving your batteries on like all night and you're not even in there looking at them? I couldn't do that, you know, so now I'm wondering if any of the batteries I actually have in my figures, even though I'm not using them, will one day just be dead when I go to use them anyways, you know? So what's the point of that, Hot Toys? Like, we gotta find a better solution to the lighting rather than these little friggin' tiny batteries. Oh, even the base has lights somehow, because there's batteries for this as well. What lights up on the base? I didn't even realize I was getting a base like this, but it seems like it has some stairs, and it's like his like gantry type thing. I don't know if this is the full gantry, you know, one that's like the full gantry, but I think this is like the platform that he lands on, and like Pepper's like, Agent Coulson is up the elevator, he's asking if you're in, and he's like, I'm not in, I'm actually out. And he's like having the suit get taken off of him, and as he's walking down the steps into Avengers Tower for like the first time, fully lit up, and then Phil's like, you gotta go, and we need the big guy. Oh, it even comes with 2 little laser beams that he can use as like his like laser attachments. Ah, I don't think he ever used that for this suit, did he? I'm not sure. Maybe he did. I think my favorite version of this Mark 7 suit, if this is the suit I'm thinking of, is the version where like Tony's falling out of the window and it like catches him. I think they have that version of Hot Toys figure, and I might need to cop it eventually. So yeah, this figure seems to have a ton of extra accessories and things that go on him with magnets and other things like that that slot in. So I'm gonna have to play around with this figure a little bit and see if I can't find where all of these attachments go, and I'm gonna have to read the instructions, because I definitely don't want to do this one just out on a limb, you know what I mean? I'm glad I picked it up, nonetheless. But let's lay out all of the accessories that Iron Man Mark 6 from Avengers 1 comes with, and then lay out all of his accessories on the table and go through those, and then see what he's looking like with all these accessories on him. And then we'll do a little bit of posing, and then do a figure comparison section, and then toss this bad boy on the shelf and see what he's looking like.
Alright, we got all of the Iron Man Mark 6 die-cast figure from Hot Toys. We got all of his accessories laid out here that he comes with, and I did toss in a couple of batteries, so why don't we take a look at this figure first. And he's got, you know, a little bit of toe opposability. And I don't know if this is just because it's a used figure or not, but the ankle pegs do seem very weak in the knees. But, you know, it is a die-cast figure, so it's very heavy. So maybe these joints over years are just like, you know, feeling the pressure of the weight of this thing. But there is that nice little lit up Iron Man new technology triangle arc reactor. Very much so like there. And this front actually does pop off with a couple of pegs. Like, don't want to break on camera. So just those 2 pegs there go into those 2 holes. And you can kind of see the underworking of everything. And then he also comes with this battle damaged version. And the battle damaged version, you can see a little bit more detail underneath in the bullet holes. And somebody said that this battle damaged is more like the battle damage from Iron Man 2 and not necessarily the battle damage from Iron Man or from the Avengers 1. So maybe they're right, and maybe there should have been more damage for something maybe a little bit more along the lines of what was happening in Avengers, 1. There's also tons of flaps up on the shoulders and a bunch of pieces that come off, and we'll go through those in a second. And then the light up effects are underneath the arms. This hand is on, this hand is not. They're both, the same batteries. I did have just enough batteries for the chest, the head, and the 2 arms, except at first this one wasn't working, and now it is, and now that one's not working at all. So yeah, it is what it is, pre-owned figures type of shit. But this Iron Man mask, I do like quite a bit. You do have the regular mask plate, and then the batteries go in there. And you take off this magnetic part up top there, and then that gives you access to where the batteries go in the head. So you can also do this backup battle damaged mask, which also comes on the Tony Stark head sculpt. So there is kind of like a Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit head sculpt, and you can mask him, or you can have it like this, like the mask is, you know, up on the top of his head. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes, you know, like that kind of scene. But where is that battle damage from? I don't know if I remember that battle damage from Iron Man 1, but you can put this mask on this part, right? Yeah. And then now we have the battle damage version lit up. So I kind of really like the way that the battle damage look. I think if it comes with battle damage and comes with all these accessories, it feels like a shame not to use some of them, if not all of them, right? You know what I mean? Like, for me, I like to use as much of the effect as possible until I get bored of it. You know, like that Thor over there has all of his lightning effects on it, and now it's starting to get old, so maybe I'll switch that figure up. But that's the beauty of it. You know, if you don't like the battle damage, you can just go back to the other version, pop that on, bada boom, bada bing. Now you got a nice clean Iron Man. Same thing, you could take off the chest. But let's go through a little bit more of the accessories that this bad boy comes with, and it comes with 2 little laser swords. Little pew, 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 pew. No, these are for, I believe, these hands down here, and they plug in and give him that 2 laser effects like he does definitely in Iron Man 2. I'm not sure if we ever see him use these laser effects in Iron Man 1. Maybe to cut that like piece of debris out of the helicarrier engine, maybe. Other than that, I don't remember it too much. There is a couple of hands, like flight hands, with the piece of, you know, hardware fully out, so he can, you know, have like a shooting forward or maybe like a flight hand. I like those. The hands that are currently on him are, you know, opposable every finger, so you could have him flipping the bird or whatever you want. There's a couple of fist hands. Those are the ones that plug in for the laser effects, and then there's just normal fist hands. And I like the way that these look as well. You know, just ready to knock somebody out. A little bit of paint damage, right? Because he's scuffing up his iron suit every time he wears it. And then he has, you know, some extra missiles and rockets and things that attach to him at various different points. I'm not sure exactly where each of them go. So why don't we do that next and put on all of his attachments and see where all of these things go on the Iron Man Mark 6 figure. But before I do that, I do want to point out this base real quick. And it does come with that rolling flagpole. And this one doesn't like bend and articulate like a normal flight pole. This is just like a straight up and down, just kind of hold you sturdy. And it's metal, if you guys heard that. That's very heavy. But this step here, the light, there is lights in the front there. Batteries go in the bottom. And I was like, where is the switch? You can't find it. This part comes up. Can go up to like there, and there's a switch on the back there. You flip that, and now the lights are on in the front. Isn't that cool? I don't know if this necessarily matches the scale of the figure, but it is what it is. It's still a nice little display base. Then if you guys can see on the inside there, there's these little pegs, and you flip down the bottom there, and then these little arms can come out. And there's one on this side too, I believe. Yeah. And then these little arms can come out and start, you know, grabbing pieces of his armor and start taking it off like it does in the movie, you know. But I don't know if I'll have him fully with the arms out. Maybe one of them, maybe, you know, half coming up as if he's walking down this thing and it's about to do the whole, you know, take off the armor shit. I do wish there was maybe a plug for that hole, because you could see he stands just fine on his own if you put him in the right pose. So you don't necessarily need the flight pole. And, you know, if you put the thing up in here, you know, every time you go and move this, it would hit the flagpole. So you'd have to take out the flagpole just to turn this thing on, you know, so quite a pain in the ass. I don't know if I like that, but yeah, not a bad little display base. Now let's look at this figure with all his accessories on him and see what that's looking like. So now we got the armorized version of the Mark 6 and the battle damaged chest and the battle damaged mask. And I don't have any of the light up features on at the current moment, but I do have all of his weaponry attachments, you know, with the missiles on his shoulders, with the multiple different attachments around each wrist. And let's actually take a closer look at that. You can see on either forearm there is multiple different pieces that go all the way around that look like these little missiles or something coming out. And honestly, you probably could rep just the top one with the other ones concealed if you wanted to, you know, so you can mix and match a little bit so it doesn't have to be fully equipped. You know, you can just use the top missile there. Or again, what does he call it? An Iron Man 2. I'm gonna bust his bunker with the ex-wife. Hammer tech? Yeah, hammer tech. But he has one fist on his left arm there, and then a propulsor hand on his right, and more of the battle weaponry there. And you can hear just like the heaviness and the creaking of the die-cast figure. It is quite substantial in my hand. It is very heavy. And then you can see the two shoulder missile launchers with the two flaps that can open up here, and those can be closed down or flip back up. And these are just magneted on, but you can also oppose those a little bit, you know, flip those up a little bit more. Yeah, not a bad figure. I actually quite like the way that this figure looks. And now, let's toss this figure into a couple of different poses that you can get this bad boy into. And then let's toss him next to some other figure comparisons with some other Iron Man figures. All right, doing a couple poses for the Mark 6 die-cast Iron Man here. And we have him fully weaponized with all of his accessories on him. And like he's about to shoot one of his missiles off of his forearm gauntlets. And in the second pose, he's kneeling. He has battle-damaged chest and mask on. He's got half of his weapons ready in his shooting arm. And then the third pose, he's also kneeling, shooting his double lasers like he's just about to stand up and kill everything in the circumference around him, like he does with Rhodey in Iron Man 2. The next one is using the flagpole flight grabber and his clean suit in a bit of a flying pose with no battle damaged on him. And then the next pose is not my best pose, but I was trying to get it as if he was about to land and he was throwing on the air brakes and kind of stopping fast to land. And then the last pose I have him in, doth mother know you weareth her drapes, and he's flipping the bird to Thor and Shakespeare in the Park. And I actually quite like the way that the Tony Stark head sculpt looks when you can just slide up the mask. So you still have the full Iron Man look and the Iron Man head sculpt, but it's got a little bit of Tony in there as well. And it's not just like the Endgame Iron Man where he doesn't really have a mask on at all. And it's just fully RDJ's head out in the open. But we will compare what the other Iron Man from Endgame looks like, right? From Avengers 1 versus the last Avengers. The full, you know, journey of suits from Mark 6 to 85, right? So what is that? 79 suits in between? That's crazy. But I really like the way that this figure looks, and I wish the gantry base was a little bit more to scale with this figure. But as far as bases go, it does do the job of, like, you know, reminding you of the Iron Man-esque type of base, only if it lit up not just on the stairs, but on the base itself and kind of looked like an arc reactor. I mean, it is a circle, he could have done it. And yeah, I mean, not the worst base, not the best base, but I do quite like it. I wish it just came with a normal hexagon base with a crotch grabber as well. But even the flight pole it comes with wasn't the best for holding a giant, heavy die-cast figure like this one. But it is what it is. I'm still glad I got this figure, and I'm glad I now have the Avengers 1 Iron Man to go into my collection. And who knows if this will start the journey of trying to get every single one of the marks of Iron Mans and have a whole hall of armor with, what, 85 freaking different suits. Oh, that is so insane. And I think they're, at this point, doing, you know, Mark III stealth versions, you know, and they're doing different paint jobs for the other suits. So I think there's even more than 85 at this point. But, you know, comment below if you know of anybody out there that has every single Iron Man suit. That would be so sick. And I know, like, Justin's collection out there is like one of my favorite people to watch because his collection is massive. But yeah, support other collectors out there. And speaking of collection, why don't we toss a couple of different Avengers 1 figures next to this Iron Man and do a couple figure comparisons. All right, we got a little bit of a figure comparison here, and I really love that you can put the mask up with that Tony Stark head sculpt, and that it does come with opposable fingers, so if you so wanted to, you could have him flipping the bird to Thor, doing Shakespeare in the Park. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? And yeah, and this is one of my only other Avengers figures. Chris Hemsworth's Thor from that movie, and I do like how his scaly arms look in that big red swooping cape, although that is an older figure, so it doesn't look quite as nice as, say, the Iron Man does with the die-cast armor. But I only have one other Avengers figure, so why don't we toss him next to Tony here and see what the two leaders of the Avengers are looking like side by side. All right, another figure comparison here. We got the Captain himself next to Tony Stark's Iron Man. And honestly, now seeing these two next to each other, I don't necessarily love the way that Avengers Thor looks, although I do like the scaly suit that he has and the red cape. I wish they'd maybe did a 2.0 of Thor. And I know that they did do an Endgame 2012 Cap, so if I did want to get an updated version of this suit for Captain America, I could. I don't necessarily think they need to do an updated Mark 6 Iron Man. Like, this is a pretty dope figure. Sure, it could have more accessories and more posability and more light-up features and stuff like that, but I think as is what it is, it looks pretty damn good. And as I'm sitting here, I think the light in this hand went out, but it's all right. I bought this figure from my local comic book shop, and it was like, you know, pre-owned, and it came with all the accessories, but the bastard that sold it was smart and knew that these batteries are hard to find. So he took out all of the batteries that was in the figure and took out every single one of the batteries that it came with and left me with no batteries. So I either had no light up functions, or I was able to scrounge a couple batteries around the room here and toss them in there. So I had a couple of batteries for the chest and like the head, but the arms, I was making it work with some smaller batteries, but I'm thinking maybe they need bigger batteries. But it is what it is, because I'm not somebody that leaves my stuff on the shelf with the lights on anyways, so all that will get turned off. But now I'm wondering if I need to get a Hulk from Avengers 1, a Hawkeye from Avengers 1, a Black Widow from Avengers 1, and have them all set up in that little scene where, you know, the suit up scene, the Avengers assemble, you know, well, that's technically Endgame. This is more like what, Avengers smash or whatever. I haven't seen Avengers 1 in a long time. What does he say when that happens? He kind of, you know, shouts out orders. I think Tony goes, Cap, call it out, you know, and then he gives a bunch of orders, and then it ends with Hulk smash. Right before that, that epic Bruce Banner entrance and that Hulk entrance. That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry. And then he friggin' punches that giant Goliath, the friggin' Chitauri tank thing. Oh, man. God, I love these Avengers movies. I love these characters so much. So, yeah, maybe I do have to get all of the Avengers figures and have them all in a circle around each other doing that suit-up pose moment, you know what I mean? Like a smash panel from a comic. So cool. But I have two other Iron Man figures, so why don't we toss this bad boy next to the other Iron Man figures in my collection. Wow. So you can see how clean the clean suit looks next to a fully battle damaged Iron Man suit. Technically not necessarily an Iron Man suit, but an illusion from Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home. I still think, I mean, like, that's Iron Man. You can't tell me that's any other character. Sure, it is a zombie, but I mean, it's zombie Iron Man. It's Iron Man. Other than this Iron Man, I do have one other Iron Man figure, but I did like to show the fact that, you know, one of these has complete and utter battle damage, and the other one is perfectly clean. And, you know, it's like where he started versus where he's going. Because Tony's dead right now, and that Tony Stark gravestone, and I'm pretty sure you can rip that whole Iron Man, zombie Iron Man, in half and have him like he's a zombie body crawling out of the grave, which is just super creepy, but also kind of cool. But very, very cool to see these two very, very different Iron Mans next to each other. But let's take a look at Avengers 1 Iron Man versus Avengers Endgame Iron Man and see Mark 6 versus Mark 85. Wow. So you can really see the difference here. I mean, how much progress and tech has gone into the future suits. And I mean, I believe this is like a fully nanotech suit at this point. And he doesn't even have the arc reactor in his chest anymore by this point in Endgame. So like, you know, the arc reactor isn't actually keeping him alive after Iron Man 3, right? He takes that out and has the surgery at the end of that movie. So, you know, they had to keep evolving the character. And, you know, that's kind of the whole point of Iron Man. Every time he fails, he makes a suit or some type of upgrade that helps him not fail the next time. You know what I mean? Like, he's the Avengers, not the Prevengers. They might as well be called the Revengers. But I do really like that I now have another Iron Man. At first, I had this Endgame Iron Man, and I was like, I don't need any other Iron Mans in my collection. This one will do. It's perfect. He's snapping. It has his final moments. But then you start seeing his final moment over and over and over again on your shelf, and you're like, man, that's kind of sad. I kind of want some other Iron Man memories as well. Like, you know, so what other Iron Man marks are your favorite? I know for me, I do really like Mark 1, you know, the giant heavy metal one when he escapes the cave. I do really like Mark 3, you know, the original Iron Man suit from Iron Man 1 that just looks and sounds so good in the movie. I'm not sure if there's a Hot Toys out there that looks really good of a Mark 3. There might be. Iron Man 2, the suitcase suit, I kind of like that when he fights Whiplash. I also like the Mark 6, or maybe it's Mark 7, the one that like flies out of the window and catches Tony out of midair when he gets thrown out of the window by Loki. That's kind of a cool Iron Man suit. Other than that, though, I'm having some trouble thinking of like what are the best Iron Man suits. So comment below your favorite Mark Iron Man suit, and out of these two figures on screen right now, which is your favorite? The Mark 6 in the way that that looks all clean, or that Mark 85 with the stones, with the Tony Stark head sculpt, with the little bit of damage bleeding from the right eyebrow? Oh man, that figure looks so damn good. I really like the way that these two look together. Might even have to display them both together. For the moment, at least, because I don't have any other place to put this Iron Man. Maybe I do. But that's it for me, y'all. This has been another figure review and unboxing. My name's Big Cam. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. If you've made it this far in the video and you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is liking this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss future Hot Toys unboxings when they come out every weekend. Every Saturday, Sunday, we've been doing 2 Hot Toys unboxings, so stay tuned for next weekend. We got 2 more in the works. And comment below if you have any particular figures you want to see me unbox next. And what's your favorite figure in the collection? I would love to hear that as well. And if you're a collector yourself, what's your favorite figure that you have or figure that you want to get? Me personally right now, I can't wait to get James Gunn's Superman Hot Toys figure and the new Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm, The Thing. But that's it for me, y'all. My name's Big Cam once again. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!